Good day, it's JJ MMA. Today we are going to be breaking down the UFC Macau card that will be taking place on Saturday, starting off with the early prelims, ending with the main event. And overall, this is a pretty solid card, top to bottom. Prelims are a little bit questionable, especially the ordering them. We'll talk about that in a second. But the main card is overall a pretty solid main card with, I think, like 3 or 4 ranked fights on it, which is very solid for a fight night. Usually when the UFC goes to China, they do put on, the more significant fights. The last time that they went to China, they gave us Ortega versus Sterling. As boring as it was significant in the featherweight division. Anyways, we're going to start off with the first early prelim of the night. Lama Lookboonmee versus Jacqueline Amorim. And Lama Lookboonmee, however you say her name, she's very stocky, short women's strawweight. She would benefit off of a lighter women's weight class because, she is sharp. She is a pretty good women's MMA fighter. She goes to decisions a lot, so not a finisher, as a lot of these strawweights are. However, she's just very small, 5'1", a reach to match it with a half-inch extra. Whereas Jacqueline Amorim is much larger, 2 inches in height. It looks like 6.5 inches in reach. Sorry guys, I'm not showing you the whole thing. Jacqueline Amorim, she's got a lot of finishes in the UFC. I think every fight in the UFC for her that she's won has been a finish. So yeah, Jacqueline Amorim, she's a solid fighter, and I think that she's gonna get this one done. Do I think she's gonna finish Lama Lookboonmee though? Lama Lookboonmee, she doesn't get finished a lot, so I don't think Amorim's gonna finish her. I think that this is gonna be a grappling masterclass though by Jacqueline Amorim. She's just gonna smother Lama Lookboonmee for 15 minutes and she'll just rack up the decision, and that's a Jacqueline Amorim win by decision. That's my pick. We move on to the next fight of the night. Kangjie versus Rodrigo Vera. Rodrigo Vera, the record shows he's good, and he is good. He's a pretty solid grappling prospect. He sticks on you like glue. He's kind of a decisionator. I didn't looking at the name Rodrigo Vera, that kind of sounds like a sick knockout artist. However, he's not really. He's a grappler mainly. He's had some exposure before. I watched the tape on him. He's really solid in the grappling. However, Kangjie, he trains at CKB. He trains at City Kickboxing. He's not like these other road to UFC prospects where it's just like they're kind of fighting nobodies. And road to UFC is kind of like, it's like the Asian Dana White Contender Series, except it's like more cans than guys that are actually proven. However, Kangjie has shown very good striking. He's a good counter striker. He's got good KO power. He's a finisher. And he's kind of got a good touch, man. He's people forget, man. Kangjie's got the touch of death. He's a marauder. But anyways, Kangjie, I think that he's gonna get this one done. I think he's gonna find the shot on Rodrigo Vera's chin. I think he's gonna knock him out. I think Kangjie is a really solid prospect after the tape that I watched. And yeah, I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see how this guy plays out in the featherweight division. You don't see many Chinese featherweights. So, I'll be excited to see Kangjie fight. And yeah, hopefully I get this one right. I got Kangjie finding a round 3 knockout win over Rodrigo Vera. I think he finds a counter. And I think it's going to put out Rodrigo Vera. And I think he's going to stuff Vera's takedowns. I think Vera might get a few because Vera is a good grappler. But, he's taking this on short notice. Kangjie is fresher. He's more in shape. He's been in camp. And yeah, we move on to the next fight. Angela Hill versus Jingnan. Man, I'm going to have a tough time with these names. However, Jingnan, oh my gosh. She is actually very good. She's a very good she was I think a double champion at one championship. Oh my gosh, man, the stutters today are going crazy. But Jingnan was a double champion at one championship, I'm pretty sure. At least a champion, and she was a very dominant champion at that. She's got pretty sick striking. I know she goes to decision a lot. But, she's really good at point fighting, and that's going to work against a kind of a brawler like Angela Hill. Somebody who's gonna, try to really piece you up. It's better to almost be defensive and, more on the back foot, kind of like a Jingnan is. in, the fights where she's point fighting. She starts out like that, and then she applies the pressure. Jingnan is a very good prospect, and I think that she'll get ranked in her first UFC fight. Yeah, and Angela Hill's ranked number 14. She's still good, but she is 41 years old. The aunties have been winning recently, though. So this 2026 is the year of the unks and the aunties. But Angela Hill could get it done, not gonna lie. I feel like it's like an Angela Hill fraud check type performance. You know what I'm saying? But like, Jingnan is very good. She's also 38. She's on the older side, but she hasn't shown much regression in her recent fights. I think that she's gonna point fight this one out. Angela Hill's a tough cookie, so I don't think she'll finish her. 29-28. Nah, I'm feeling 30-27. 30-27, Zhang Jingnan. She gets this one done by decision. And yeah, we move on to the next fight on the card. Ray Tsuruya versus Luis Gurule. Luis Gurule just fought in the last event, and he just fought, what's the guy's name? Daniel Perez, who they just cut from the UFC. He just fought at the Apex 2 weeks ago. And, I mean, yeah, he looked really good in his performance against Daniel Perez. Pressure heavy, put the striking on him. He's like a Timu Josh Van in some ways, which could be a problem with Ray Tsuruya, because if you've seen Ray Tsuruya striking against Joshua Van, he looked horrible. Like, he looked like think about how Teixeira looked against Van. Like, think about how he had like absolutely no defense against Josh Van striking. Think about that times 10 and how bad it was. Ray Tsuruya looks like an absolute amateur on the feet. However, his grappling is really good. He was able to get down Van, if I'm not mistaken, quite a few times. And I think that'll be able to get down Luis Gurule. Luis Gurule, before his fight against Daniel Perez, was 0-3 in the UFC. Got fed to some decent level prospects, and then Aiden Correa, who's actually really good. So I'm not going to hold that one against Gurule. Gurule, though, he fought 2 weeks ago. He took a little bit of damage in that fight. I'm not liking this turnaround for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to have jet lag. He's going all the way to Macau from the United States. I don't like this for him. He's at a 4-inch reach disadvantage. Although I do think he'll probably be able to outstrike Ray Tsuruya. I do think he'll be able to outstrike Ray Tsuruya. However, Luis Gurule is a small guy who's, not very bulky at the same time. Like, you don't got the big legs that Joshua Van has, where he can get in the butterfly guard, build his way back up to his feet, and kind of just like be a ball of muscle, like be a little tortoise out there. I don't think Gurule is going to be able to tortoise max against Ray Tsuruya. I think Ray Tsuruya is probably going to be able to get a submission on him. I think Luis Gurule is going to put himself in a bad position, maybe turn his back. Ray Tsuruya, like Teixeira in the grappling, is kind of a guy that kind of waits for you to make a mistake, and then he'll capitalize on it. I think that'll capitalize on Luis Gurule's mistakes on the ground, and I definitely think that Ray Tsuruya is going to get down Luis Gurule. And yeah, I think he's going to win this one by submission, I think, in round 1. I think it'll be a relatively easy performance for Ray Tsuruya here. Luis Gurule is good on the feet, though, and he's pressure heavy. So Ray Tsuruya could struggle with that. And if he does, that would look very bad on his skill set overall. That would be 2 straight losses in a row for him after 1 year layoff after his fight against Van, who since has won, I think, 4 straight fights and become the champion. One of them doesn't count. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, yeah, that's what I think. Ray Tsuruya, round 1 submission, probably rear naked choke. We move on to the next fight up the card. Aoriqileng, I don't know how to say it, versus Cody Haddon. I know a little bit about Aoriqileng. He recently won his fight. Wait, hold on. I didn't even remember this. He won his fight on the Vancouver card in October by an early knockout. I actually forgot about that. I forgot that Aoriqileng was on the card, but I remember seeing this fella's name a lot. I thought he was matched up with Salkild, but that was wrong. Zhu. I'm getting them mixed up. But Cody Haddon, he's very good. Cody Haddon's a super well-rounded prospect. He was supposed to fight Malcolm Wellmaker, but unfortunately he pulled out, and that's where Ethan Ewing took over. But Cody Haddon, I think, looking back on it, I think that Cody Haddon would have fraud-checked Wellmaker too. You know what I'm saying? Like, after seeing Malcolm Wellmaker's performance against Juan Diaz, I think that Cody Haddon would have made... I think Cody Haddon would have finished Wellmaker, even with Wellmaker's momentum going into that fight with Ethan Ewing. I think that Cody Haddon, had he stayed in that fight, would have finished him. And yeah, Cody Haddon's super good. He's got great boxing. He's got like that grounded JDM type boxing. And then he's also got the wrestling. He's kind of like he's like an Aussie Timu Alexandre Taporia, if you know what I'm saying. He's a good prospect in the bantamweight division as well, man. The bantamweight division is flourishing with prospects right now, flourishing with young talent. The bantamweight division might be the new welterweight division in the near future. Get on the bantamweight hype train because this division is coming up and there's really solid talent in this division. I'm excited to see how the division plays out. But anyways, we're going to talk about this fight. Aoriqileng, he's a good striker. He's got good power, kind of like a lot of these Chinese dudes do. Like a lot of these Chinese dudes, they got good power. However, they can be exposed like a lot of the guys like Aoriqileng, Rongju, even though Rongju has better grappling now that he trains with CKB, like the Zhu Kangjie dude that we talked about earlier. Aoriqileng, he's kind of less, he's less grappling heavy, but he's got good striking as well. Cody Haddon's a super well-rounded guy on the other hand, really solid prospect. This guy looked really good on the regional scene. The regional scene in Australia actually is very good, so tells you a lot. Yeah, and this dude, he looks super good. I watched more fight tape. Very well-rounded. He can mix in the takedowns, gets deep on your hips. He's kind of like Quillen Salkeld with his takedowns where, he'll get in on a body lock or, shoot like blast cell. He's a wrestle. He's a wrestle heavy type of guy, not like with the sweeps, but generally like he'll get a body lock, try to trip, or a double leg. I see him getting those takedowns on Aoriqileng, and I think he'll work him. Yeah, I think he'll work him this fight, and I don't think he'll finish Aoriqileng. I don't think Aoriqileng will be chinned on the feet, not gonna lie, because Aoriqileng is a very tough guy. However, I think this is going to be a pretty dominant decision. I think it's going to be a clear 30-27 decision win for Cody Haddon in this one. And yeah, that's what I'm feeling like. That's my pick. And we move on to the next fight. I really feel like, you see, this is where I feel like Aoriqileng and Cody Haddon, like this is a sick fight, man. I feel like it should be higher up on the card than Meng and Jose Henrique. I know it says Jose Souza, but it's one of them Brazilian things where they like to have like a different last name for some reason. I don't know why they do it. Like Hoopy's last name on his shorts is Santos for some reason. But I don't know. Both these guys came off the Contender Series. Meng is very chinny. He is very chinny. I've watched fight tape on him. In his last fight, he got dropped a bunch of times. However, this dude's got some serious power. He has 27 knockout finishes. And this guy's fought 44 times. And, only being finished by knockout twice and, being kind of chinny like that in his last fight. I don't even know who this guy was fighting. Who was this guy fighting in his last fight? Is it not going to show? Yeah, it's not going to show. I forgot the UFC doesn't even show past opponents from the regional scene. But whatever. This guy came off of Dana White's Contender Series. Jose Henrique has been in Dana White Contender Series. And he lost this fight there. He got knocked out. That was in 2024, though. The guy's made some improvements. He's got super skinny legs here. But, he's lankier. He's got a huge reach advantage, size advantage over Meng. He's only got 1 inch of height over Meng. However, I'm pretty sure he has like an 8-inch reach advantage. I think this fella right here has like a 80-inch reach or something crazy. But, he can maximize the reach if he wants. Like, I can see him throwing these step-in knees, even, with his little knobby knees over here. This guy ain't built too good. I can see him kind of, striking up, piecing up Meng in moments. However, I feel like this is the type of guy, like, with the build that Meng chins. So I feel like Meng is going to get this. I feel like Meng is going to get the knockout win over Jose Henrique, and I think it's going to be in a really impressive fashion. I think that Meng's going to put him out with 1 shot. I think it could be a 2 down the middle, maybe as Jose Henrique's, I feel like this guy's got no head movement as well. Like this fella, I don't feel like he's going to move his head off the center line, and I can see Meng just bombing him down the middle with a right hand and putting him out cold. So yeah, I feel like Meng is going to maximize his power, maximize his build advantage despite being at a reach disadvantage. And I think that he's going to put Jose Henrique out cold. And yeah, that's my pick. I think he's going to do it in round 2. I think it'll take him a second to find the shot. But yeah, round 2, TKO win for Meng. That's my pick. And yeah, we move on to the featured prelim. And why is this fight the featured prelim, man? Both of these guys are making their debut. Put Cody Haddon as the featured prelim, if anything. You could put Angela Hill. Hey, this is a ranked fight right here. This right here is a ranked fight. You can put this as a feature prelim. Ray Tsuruya is a bigger name than these debuting fellas, but Yishak Lee. Both these guys are actually pretty good. They're both grapplers though. Yishak Lee versus Luis Felipe Dias. Luis Felipe Dias is absolutely jacked, bro. I just noticed that Luis Felipe Dias is absolutely jacked. He's a good grappler. He lost his fight on Contender Series, I'm pretty sure, as well, just like Jose Henrique. And I'm pretty sure he also got knocked out on there. So, you know, I mean, this guy, he's looked better with his grappling as well. But Yishak Lee is a grappler, too. And I think that he's a slightly better striker than Luis Felipe Dias, based off of the tape. You know, he's got a huge height advantage. I know this guy's burly. I know he's got a 74-inch reach. And, you know, like this guy, he looks a lot smaller frame-wise than Luis Felipe Dias. However, he does have a 6'2". He has a 4-inch height advantage. I don't know the reach advantage. I'm guessing not much, considering this guy's got a 74-inch reach, which is pretty impressive for being 5'10". But regardless, I think that Yishak Lee is going to be able to stop the grappling of Luis Felipe Dias. I don't think Luis Felipe Dias is going to get him down. However, if he does, and watch this, if Luis Felipe Dias gets down to Yishak Lee, I do think Yishak Lee is the type of guy that's going to get held down and get submitted. I don't see this guy being able to build back to his feet very well. I feel like he's kind of going to be like an Adesanya with his takedown defense. I'm comparing this absolute gray shirt right here to Adesanya, but no disrespect to Izzy, but you know, Yishak Lee, I feel like this guy's kind of going to be like an Izzy with his takedown defense. Like, he's going to have originally good takedown defense. He'll get the underhooks. But if he gets taken down, if he gets swept, if he gets, ankle picked, he's done. He's done. He's getting held on the ground or submitted or TKO'd. So if he's taken down, he's going to get finished. But I don't think he will. And that's why I'm going to pick Yishak Lee to outpoint and gas out Luis Felipe Dias to a decision. And yeah, that's what I think will happen. And maybe he'll impose some grappling of his own because he can grapple as well. And yeah, that's what my pick, Yishak Lee by decision. And we move on to the main card. Alex Perez versus Sumudaerji. This is a sick fight. Alex Perez coming off a nasty KO finish over Charles Johnson. He's been on kind of a, I guess I can't say he's been on a resurgence because, you know, himself, he was on like a 4-fight skid before this, pulling out of a bunch of fights. Sumudaerji is actually on I think a 4-fight winning streak, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check. I think he's on a 4-fight winning streak. 1, 2, 3. He's on a 3-fight winning streak, and he lost to Charles Johnson. And I'm not going to hold that against him. He has gotten a shot in the rankings before against Tim Elliott, and he got submitted. Do I think Alex Perez is going to submit him, though? Do I think Alex Perez is going to impose his grappling on him? No. I don't think he will. Alex Perez is, you know, the guy that's going to stay on the feet, kind of, try to work his striking. And I don't think that's going to work against Sumudaerji. Sumudaerji's got, like, this sick, it's like a, I don't want to, no. I was about to start the McGregor comparisons, man, for Sumudaerji. But he's got, like, this sick kind of taekwondo-ish, karate-ish stance. And he's light on the feet. He's a southpaw. He throws he throws switch kicks. He throws spinning back kicks. He's really fluid with the striking, good boxing. The only thing about him is he ain't got much pop in it. He doesn't got much KO power. He seems a bit chinny. He's not the most sound defensive striker in the world, so that worries me against a guy who has power like Alex Perez. You know, I want to pick Alex Perez because I feel like Alex Perez can bomb Sumudaerji out cold if he gets close, and Alex Perez ain't too bad at closing distance. But, you know, I feel like Sumudaerji's just going to speed mog him, and I feel like he's going to be too fast. I feel like he's going to blast the body kicks. But it's not going to be like a thudding body kick. It's just going to be like quick, and he's just going to tap him. You know, he's going to tap him. He's going to tap him in different places. It's like a mosquito, like a swarm of mosquitoes on you. You know, he's going to be kind of quick to the spot, you know, leg kick, body kick. You know, he's going to mix up his weapons really well. And maybe he tags Alex Perez and gets him out of there. I don't think he will. I think that he's going to kind of point fight this to a decision. And I think that Sumudaerji is going to get this one done by a 29-28 decision. Could be a split decision. The one that, you know, all the bots in the UFC Instagram comments are going to be saying robbery, robbery, robbery. Regardless, I think that Sumudaerji is going to be able to control the distance fairly well against Alex Perez. Alex Perez might land a few shots on him, maybe wobble him in one of the rounds. But I think Sumudaerji is going to outpoint him and win this by decision. And yeah, we move on to the next fight up the card. Jake Matthews versus Carlston Harris. Now, Carlston Harris was supposed to fight Michael Chiesa at UFC Seattle, but he had to pull out with an injury and was replaced by the late, great Nico Price. May God rest his soul. But regardless, I mean, that guy, is Nico Price even retired, man? They didn't give him the what's called the retirement video, and they gave it to Michael Chiesa. Terrible, man. Nico Price is a legend. There was actually a point where Nico Price was solid, but crazy to believe because he got finished in 1 minute by Michael Chiesa. I don't even know how that happens. It was like a WWE type fight. But anyways, Jake Matthews was supposed to fight Muslim Salikov. Muslim Salikov had to pull out, I think, what was it, back injury or something? I don't know. I'll have to check Tapology. But Jake Matthews, he's just like I know he lost to Neil Magny. He did lose to Neil Magny at UFC Perth, but he seems to beat like everyone else who's kind of just like eh. You know what I'm saying? Like Carlston Harris, I think he's like 37. He's he's not that good. Let's look at his wins because I forget who this guy even beat. He got beaten by Santiago Ponzinibbio. Not the greatest loss to have. Got bombed out cold by Chaos Williams, beat Jeremiah Wells. Just judging off those last 3 performances, I feel like Jake Matthews is just probably going to take this guy down and sub him. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jake Matthews has really good grappling. His striking is You know what I'm saying? Like Neil Magny could probably outpoint him in the striking. I'm pretty sure Neil Magny submitted him, though, if I'm not mistaken. Neil Magny submitted him. Yeah, so I feel like, you know what? I don't know, man, because Carlston Harris, I'm pretty sure he has some pretty good offensive grappling. I don't think he'll be able to impose it on Jake Matthews, though. And if he tries to shoot on him, I can see Jake Matthews reversing that. And I feel like he can, get into mount, start landing some shots maybe. And Carlston Harris maybe covers up. Maybe Jake Matthews gets a TKO. I can see Jake Matthews getting a TKO win or something here. But at the same time, I can just see Jake Matthews subbing Carlston Harris with an arm triangle for some reason. Like, I can visualize it. Jake Matthews subs him with an arm triangle. Maybe Carlston Harris turns the side and it turns into kind of like a head and arm choke. But I can see that happening. I feel like Jake Matthews is going to win this one by submission after reversing Carlston Harris's takedown. It's a very specific outcome. However, I do think that Jake Matthews is going to win this one by submission in round 1. He'll get Carlston Harris out of there pretty quick. Short notice opponent. He's still in shape, though, because he was recently in fight camp for the Michael Chiesa fight. But, yeah, I mean, Jake Matthews is going to get this one done by submission. I think this is a fairly easy one to pick. And, yeah, we move on to the next fight up the card. Kai Asakura versus Cameron Smotherman. Cameron Smotherman is not good, man. I like 12-6, not a great record on its face. Hasn't shown anything positive really in the UFC. Does he even have a win in the UFC? I don't think this guy has a win in the UFC. No, he does. Never mind. He decisioned this Hadley fella out cold. Yeah, he's lost 2 other decisions. One to Ricky Simone. Not too bad of a loss. Sidey, you guys. You guys can't even see. Let's get Sidey. Don't even know who that guy is. I mean, call me casual in the comments, but don't know who Sidey is. If you guys know who Sidey is, congratulations. You just out MMA fed me. But regardless, I think that Cameron Smotherman, like based off of watching like how he performed the Ricky Simone fight, he's not too good on the feet, man. You know what I'm saying? So this guy doesn't grapple, and if this guy doesn't grapple, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he doesn't grapple, he's not going to beat Kai Asakura because Kai Asakura loses to good grapplers, guys that have a good double leg like Tim Elliott. We saw how Tim Elliott ran over Steve Erceg with the double leg. We saw how Tim Elliott's got a really sneaky good guillotine that he choked out Kai Asakura with. But Kai Asakura won the first round over Tim Elliott. So, and that's like Steve Erceg didn't even win the first round over Tim Elliott. So, Kai Asakura, he's a good striker, he's got solid boxing. He's the best I can think of the Japanese strikers right now. Besides Kyoji Horiguchi, he's on a different level of striking. Tatsuro Taira, Kai Asakura, Ray Tsuruya. Kai Asakura's got the best striking by far, best striking defense by far. And And yeah, I mean, he didn't look too bad in there against Pantoja on the feet. Pantoja, you know, he's a different level, obviously. Short notice opponent. Not expecting much from Asakura in that situation. But yeah, then you look at the Tim Elliott fight. In the first round, he was doing good in the first round. He gets taken down in the second round, and then he gets caught in the sub. Tim Elliott's good, though. Tim Elliott's crafty, man. He's a crafty hunk. Cameron Smotherman's not crafty whatsoever. And I can see Kai Asakura just piecing this dude up on the feet. And I can see him making Cameron Smotherman look real bad on the feet, just so you know. And this guy, as we saw in the UFC 324 fight week, he cuts a lot of weight for bantamweight. This guy's a big bantamweight. He's 5'9", 69-inch reach. Don't even be immature in the comments. He said, yeah, okay, whatever. But Cameron Smotherman, you know, he's a big guy for bantamweight, you know, cuts a lot of weight, and he passed out on stage at UFC 324, and I think that could be a big factor. I don't think that he'll have enough cardio to really go with Kai Asakura's flow on the feet. I think that Kai Asakura is kind of just going to move around like an anime character and just, you know, like outstrike him, and I think that Kai Asakura will make it look easy. I think that he'll get not round one. I think that Kai Asakura is going to kind of lure Cameron Smotherman into this dogfight. He's going to be really good with the volume striking. And I can see Kai Asakura getting out Cameron Smotherman in round 2 with a TKO finish, middle of round 2. Kai Asakura with the pressure. Gets out Cameron Smotherman, round 2 TKO. And yeah, we move on to the featured bout of the main card. And that's Sergey Pavlovich versus Talison Teixeira. Why was this dude, Talison Teixeira, ever ranked number 15 after he beat, who did he even beat at the UFC 312 card? He beat some blob heavyweight. I think it might have been Junior Tafo or something. Yeah, I think he beat one of the Tafa bros. I think it was Justin Tafa. You know what? It was Justin Tafa. He beat Talison Teixeira beat Justin Tafa, and he got ranked number 15 after that. I don't know how that happens, but after his first fight in the UFC, he got ranked number 15. They gave him the Derek Lewis test for some reason, and then he got bombed out cold. Kid climbed the fence like a ladder, and yeah, I mean, he got bombed out cold by Derek Lewis. I ain't holding that against you. Probably could have lost to Tai Tuivasa if Tai Tuivasa wasn't actually such a fat blob and decided to up the ante and, you know, throw some volume striking at him. And, you know, in round 3, man, Tai Tuivasa was starting to pick Talison Teixeira apart. And that's Tai Tuivasa that lost to Louis Sutherland. So, I mean, Talison Teixeira hasn't shown anything that tells me that he's really high level in any of his fights. I know he finished Justin Tafa, but, you know, that's not something crazy, you know. If he finished Junior Tafa, I would be like, okay, you know, maybe that's something. But Justin Tafa, come on, bro, get out of here, man. Your losses, your one loss is Derek Lewis. Not a terrible loss to have considering Derek Lewis has that fluke ability. But yeah, I mean, he could have easily lost to Tai Tuivasa, but he didn't, just because Tai Tuivasa beat himself because he has such bad cardio. Sergey Pavlovich, on the other hand, is a very high-level, legit heavyweight, which Talison Teixeira is not. I don't know why Talison Teixeira is getting this fight. You know, the real only advantage that he has over his, you know, opponents that he's been fighting is the range. He's 6'7". Don't even type the number in the comments, but I can feel it like coming from miles away. Don't even do that. Don't be immature. He's got an 83-inch reach, but Pavlovich has the biggest reach in the UFC. He has an 84-inch reach. So even though he's 6'3", you know, he's a rangier with the reach. You know, he's a legit fighter. You know, he's beaten Waldo Cortez Acosta by decision. He beat Jairzo Rosenstrike by decision. The only thing about Sergey Pavlovich that kind of worries me is that I feel like after the Aspinall and Volkov fights, I feel like he's kind of lost his mojo, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like Pavlovich has kind of lost that confidence. In the first place, I do feel like Pavlovich's KO power might have been a little overrated. He seemed to kind of just like rock someone and then, you know, just volume strike, maybe just, I don't know. Like he never had the one hitter quitter at heavyweight. And a lot of people were acting like Pavlovich was just like absolute marauder before he fought Aspinall. That was like a world beater. And I didn't think he was a world beater. Like based on like Tuivasa, he had some other pretty solid wins at heavyweight. I think he beat Derek Lewis before this. It's not. That's a pretty decent. Oh no, he beat Curtis Blades. I forgot about that, man. Yeah, he did beat Curtis Blades. That's a really good win. To be fair to Pavlovich, but I feel like Pavlovich has kind of lost his mojo ever since then. You know what I'm saying? Like ever since the Volkov fight, I feel like ever since the Aspinall fight, actually, I feel like Pavlovich kind of lost his mojo. This is a good fight for him to get it back, though. I feel like Teixeira Teixeira is a very easy stylistic matchup for him. And I feel like this is someone that he can kind of bomb out cold. Like Teixeira Teixeira, I know he got hit by Derek Lewis, but his chin kind of worries me, the way that he was crumbling to Tai Tuivasa. If Sergey Pavlovich stands with this guy in round 3, and this guy gassed out pretty bad against Tai Tuivasa, like almost as bad as Tuivasa, you know, like if this guy gasses out, I can see Sergey just turning on the volume and getting him out there with volume TKO. I think that that's a possibility. But I feel like Sergey Pavlovich is just going to make easy work of him. I feel like the Sergey Pavlovich that I know and love will be back. And yeah, I think he'll get him out of there. Round 1, knockout. I think he could flatline Teixeira Teixeira. I think that'll put him out worse than Derek Lewis. Sergey Pavlovich, KO win, round 1. And yeah, we move on to the co-main event of this card. It's a pretty solid one. I know this ain't one that's ranked high. Sergey Pavlovich should probably be the co-main event over this. But Alonzo Menifield versus Zhang Mingyang, and I know they have to put Zhang Mingyang co-main event because he's Chinese and stuff, and it's in China. But, you know, Zhang Mingyang, in his last fight against Johnny Walker, he was looking good until he wasn't. You know, like, and Johnny Walker's leg kicks are really good. He was a kind of a grounded striker before that. And a lot of the guys at light heavyweight do kind of like to throw these leg kicks, the ones that are more calculated. But the thing about Alonzo Menifield, man, is number 1, he's 38. Number 2, he's so chinny, it's crazy. And number 3, I just said calculated. He's not calculated at all. This guy just runs at you. And he ran at Carlos Solberg and he got chinned immediately. So I feel like, not saying Zhang Mingyang's a Carlos Solberg, but he does well with keeping his composure. He's a very calm guy. You know, Johnny Walker tried to run at him at the start of their fight, tried to do the Hamza and shoot a takedown on him, and Zhang Mingyang reversed it into mount immediately. So Zhang Mingyang, he's very composed, kind of like an Oldberg. He's got really, really good power. He actually does have really good power, and I know his best win is washed up, you know, fetal position Anthony Smith. However, Zhang Mingyang, you know, it was at Brenson Ribeiro. You know, he looked really good in that fight. He's got really solid power, good striking. His only loss is Johnny Walker, who has the fluke ability. Even though it was a leg kick, you know what I'm saying? It was a leg kick that got Zhang Mingyang out of there. And, you know, the ground strikes weren't really doing anything, but Zhang Mingyang was kind of just cooked after the leg kick. But, you know, I feel like Alonzo Menifield's going to make the mistake necessary for Zhang Mingyang to be able to capitalize on it. And I think that Zhang Mingyang's going to capitalize on it. I don't think he's going to crumble again. I think that he's going to get this one done. This is a very favorable matchup for him. I know Alonzo Menifield's a little bit rangier. He's got some longer arms. Oh, wait a second. He's only got a half-inch reach. I didn't know Zhang Mingyang had long arms like that. It don't look like he's got very long arms here. But, yeah, just show you guys the reach. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I think Zhang Mingyang's going to be able to not fluke, but he's going to be able to get Alonzo Menifield out there in round 1. Alonzo Menifield's going to come aggressive and it's going to bite him in the ass. And yeah, if he doesn't do that, Zhang Mingyang's just going to run at him and chin him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lose-lose either way for how Alonzo Menifield approaches the fight. Unless he's super calculated like Johnny Walker and just tries to target calf kicks, which he's never really been good at, and he's not that type of fighter, so I don't think he's going to do that. Zhang Mingyang is going to get him out of there in round 1. Knockout victory for Zhang Mingyang. And yeah, we move on to the main event. You blow my mind. I feel alive with you, baby. Davison Figueiredo. What a career, man. I think it's time to wrap it up, man. Bro, they were talking about Figgy in 2020 like he was prime Vaughn. He was dead, bro. If he wanted you out of there, he'd go do it himself, on feet, by himself. No, but the way that Figgy had Benavidez screaming, though, was actually scary. It was round 1, you know, he was beating the shit out of him. I think he dropped Joseph Benavidez, and this is a good Joseph Benavidez too. He dropped him, I think, 3 times, and then submitted him, choked him out cold with, I think, the rear naked. Yeah, it was a rear naked, right? It was either a rear naked or a ghillie. I think it was a rear naked. He got him out of there cold, and Joseph Benavidez went to sleep, and then he woke up screaming. Anyways, Deiveson Figueiredo's not in his prime anymore, sadly. He's not anywhere near his normal fighting form that we know and love Deiveson Figueiredo as, the marauder that was knocking out the Benavidez, I think, twice. He was getting guys out of there, man. And he had a crazy power for flyweight. It was nuts, man. This guy was super calculated, and he was looking for the big shot, but he was always connecting on it. Now he's kind of looking for the big shot and, just kind of whiffs on it. And when it doesn't go his way, he kind of just gives up, it feels like, like he's kind of Cheeto Vera maxing out there in times. Like in the Umar fight, like there was one moment in round 2 where he started doing something and started like kind of teeing off on Umar against the cage. And the whole crowd was like, whoa, hold on, wait a second. And at the end of round 2, we're like, hold on, we might have a fight. Even though both rounds went to Umar. But then third round, Figgy just does nothing again. Like first round, Figgy does nothing. Second round, Figgy has a little moment. Third round, Figgy does nothing. It's like Figgy will take a round off you here and there, or like he'll give you a scare. But I mean, you gotta be you gotta be lower level ranked for Figgy to beat you nowadays. And Song Yadong is not lower level ranked at all. Song Yadong is a guy who went tit for tat with Sean O'Malley. Very close fight with Sean O'Malley. He definitely lost the fight. So those of you who think that Song Yadong got robbed are absolute fucking smooth brains. I don't understand that at all. Song Yadong clearly won round 2. However, rounds 1 and 3 clear as day went to Sean O'Malley. Round 1 was closer, but round 3 was a clear Sean O'Malley round. Landed a nasty knee up the middle on Song Yadong. But a guy who's a very good striker and that high level of a striker like Sean O'Malley is going to outclass Song Yadong. And Song Yadong's a very good striker himself. He's got good pop. He's really quick. Solid leg kicks. I think that could be a problem for Deiveson Figueiredo here. He's got good power. Song Yadong is very underrated power for the bantamweight division. He's got like he's super springy in the legs. He's got a really solid base under him. He's got the shoulders, and it just feels like what I'm saying? Like it feels like he can just pop someone's skull back, what I'm saying? Like at bantamweight, I feel like this dude is just so powerful for some reason, but he hasn't really shown that against the higher level guys. Deiveson Figueiredo is not very high level anymore. However, what Deiveson Figueiredo still is very tough and very hard to get out of there. So for that reason, I don't think Deiveson Figueiredo is going to get finished. And along with having a super good chin, I don't think he's going to get hit much. Deiveson Figueiredo's not the guy to kind of just like be a blockhead and walk forward. Deiveson Figueiredo is kind of a more back foot, feint on the outside, be tough to hit, try to hit and not get hit, but at the same time, he never succeeds on the hit part anymore, sadly. Figgy's washed, man. Figgy's super washed. That's why I started singing the Celtics Shaq theme at the start, the Nets Kevin Garnett theme, the Steelers Aaron Rodgers theme. All that good stuff. That's why I started singing that at the start. Figgy's very washed. However, Song Yadong, on the other hand, he's good. He's not like he's high level, but he's not high level enough to, to beat O'Malley. Like I think he can hang with O'Malley. I don't think he can hang with Merab. There's certain stylistic matchups, and Song Yadong has good takedown defense too. I think Figgy's gonna try to take him down in this fight. And I think he's gonna I think he's going to fail that. Figgy's nowhere near on the level of skill that he once was at, and I think he's just gonna try some things here and there in every round, and he's gonna fail. There's gonna be some rounds. There's gonna be probably 3 out of 5 rounds where he does absolutely nothing. I don't see him taking a single round off Song Yadong here. I think Song Yadong wins this 50-45. I think 50-45 decision win here for Song Yadong, and that's how this one's gonna end. Song Yadong, good work on the outside. Some moments where it looks like, he could put a flurry on Figgy, but Figgy kind of just evades it, gets out of it, maybe eats some shots in the chin. I don't see Song Yadong putting out Figgy, though. I don't think Figgy's not going out. He's just going to lose by decision 50-45. I hope Unk hangs it up, not going to lie. At this point, Like, I don't want to see him like just beating Raoni Barcelos, bro. Like, I want to see, like, if Figgie's out there, I want to see him in prime shape, and he's clearly not like that anymore. He's 38 years old at the bantamweight division. It's time for him to hang it up, sadly. Figgy had a good career, man. Figgy's prime will always be remembered. Great fighter, man. Just, he ain't got it no more. He ain't got it no more, and he's shown that in his last couple of fights. Barely squeaked out a win against Montel Jackson, who almost got finished by Raoni Barcelos, and who's not, known as a finisher. Got dominated by Umar, and I know Umar's very high level, so it is what it is. He ain't got it no more. He's not in the athletic prime shape anymore. He should hang it up. Song Yadong is going to win this one 50-45. We don't really need to see this fight, but it's going to happen anyways. So it is what it is. Pretty good card, though. It's going to be a solid card. I'm hyped to wake up at like 3 a.m. and watch this fight with you guys. Just amazing, right? But it's going to be a good one. Yeah, like and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll have a video out on something else either either Thursday or Friday. We're going live Saturday for this card. Follow me on Instagram at the JJMMA official. Follow me on Twitter at the JJMMA. Like, subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.